Hello to everyone, including my grandchildren, Piper, Sammy, and Max. I'm going to read one more story today from the Book of Giant Stories. And today's story is called The Giant Who Threw Tantrums. At the foot of Mount Thistle, there was a village. And in the village, a little boy who liked to go walking went walking one Saturday afternoon in the woods near Thistle. He popped behind a bush when he heard a big noise. Before long, a huge giant came stamping down the pathway. He looked upset. Tangle, bangle, bringle, pox, the giant bellowed. He banged his head against a tree until it shook the leaves off like snowflakes. Frangle, wangle, whippersnack, the giant roared. Yanking up the tree, plucking it out of the ground. He whirled it around his head, and he knocked down 27 other trees. Muttering to himself, he stalked up the path toward the top of Mount Thistle. The little boy hurried home. I just saw a giant throwing a tantrum, he told everybody in the village. They only smiled. There's no such thing as a giant, the mayor assured them. But he knocked down at least 20 or 30 trees, said the little boy. There he is in the village, explaining to everyone what he saw. Must have been a tornado, the weatherman said with a nod. Happens around here all the time. The next Saturday afternoon, the little boy went walking again, and before long, he heard another terrible noise. He sat behind a tree. Soon the giant came storming down the path, and he was upset again. Pollywogging frizzle snatch, he hollered. Throwing himself down, he pounded on the ground with both his fists. He was cross, and he puckered his lips like that. And he drew in his breath, and it sounded something like slurping soup. Pooh! The giant yelled. Grabbing his left foot with both hands, the giant hopped on his right foot up the path towards Mount Thistle. The little boy hurried home. That giant's at it again, he told everyone. He threw such a tantrum the ground shook. Must have been an earthquake, said the police chief. Happens around here all the time. The next Saturday afternoon, the little boy again went walking, and before long he heard another frightening noise. This time he hid behind a rock. Soon the giant came fuming down the path. When he reached the little boy's rock, he puckered in his lips again. And he made that soupy, slurpy sound. Oh, I never get it right, said the giant. The giant held his breath until his face turned blue and his eyes rolled up. Fuzzle humper, he panted, and then he walked and marched up the path towards Mount Thistle. The little boy followed him. Up and up and up. He went to the very, very top of Mount Thistle. There he discovered a huge cave, and there was a surprising sound coming out of the cave. The giant was crying. All I want to do is whistle, he cried through his tears. But every time I try to whistle, it sounds like I'm slurping soup. The little boy had just learned how to whistle himself, so he knew how hard it could be. And the little boy did something very brave. he stepped inside the cave. The giant was surprised, of course. "How did you get in here?" "I know what you're doing wrong," said the little boy. When the giant heard that, he leaned down and he put his hands on his knees. "Tell me at once, please." "You have to stop throwing tantrums," said the little boy. I promise I won't throw any more tantrums." "Well, pucker your lips," said the little boy. "I always do," said the giant. "Then blow out." "Blow out?" said the giant. "Blow out." Here he is teaching the giant. The giant looked as if he couldn't believe it. He puckered his lips and he blew. Out came a low whistle. It sounded like a train far away. The giant smiled. "I did it! I whistled! Did you hear me? I whistled!" said the giant. Taking the little boy's hand, he danced in a circle with the little boy. "You're a good friend," said the giant. "Well, thank you," said the little boy. "Sometime maybe we can whistle together, but right now I have to go home for dinner." The giant stood before his cave and he waved goodbye to the little boy. The little boy seldom saw the giant after that, but the giant did keep his promise about not throwing tantrums. "We never have earthquakes anymore," the mayor said. "We haven't had a tornado in ages," said the weatherman. Now and then they did hear a whistle coming from the distance. "Must be a train," said the police chief. But the little boy knew his friend the giant was walking up the path towards the top of Mount Thistle, and he knew he was whistling. You can tell by the look on the little boy's face, he knows what's going on. I hope you enjoyed today's story. Have a great day.